Welcome back to Urban Today. And if you have been around Uganda long enough in the sense of living here, or that you have lived on earth that long, you would know that in 1986, the NRM came to power. And one of the things that happened when the NRM came to power is that we started to see women being driven around with flags on their vehicles. That meant that they were honorable ministers. We also got to see that women became part of uniforms that are camouflaged, i.e. they were soldiers. Now, one of these ladies that was from 1986 to 1989, a deputy minister of agriculture, and from 1989 to 1995 was a minister, full minister of agriculture, and from then she went on to the World Food FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, worked with the United Nations, worked with Africa Union. She's basically moved this world in the name of agriculture, in the name of women, and in the name of inspiring young girls. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady is none other than Honorable Victoria Sekitoleko. Madam, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. One of the things that I was thinking about asking you, first of all, I'll call you lady, because my mother insists that every lady of distinction should never be called by name without the title lady. My mother is from Uganda. So Lady Victoria, if I may refer to you that way, was it a surprise to you when your name came up as deputy minister in 1986?
It was a surprise, a great surprise indeed. But during those days, the appointments were made slightly differently.
Yeah.
You know, the president invited you, talked to you, and then gave you like 2 weeks to like put your things in order. Then he would announce to the rest of the country.
Okay.
So I was invited. He talked to me and told me that he would like me to be his deputy minister for agriculture, and I'm like, I'll try. Okay.
Yeah. Is that because he knew that you were an agriculturalist, or because this is 1986? Yeah. Were you involved? Let's just go back a little bit. Were you involved within the Bush struggle? Because by then, everybody who became a minister had been, in a certain sense, involved in the Bush struggle. So were you, one, involved in the Bush struggle for you to be minister, or was your being minister, deputy minister of agriculture, largely because you are also an agriculturalist as far as academia is concerned?
I think I could say all the above.
All the above.
Yeah, but those would be like just 50%.
Yes.
You know, from 1983 to 86, I was the chairperson for all the non-government organizations for women.
Women.
Yeah, but then before that, 1980, I was the deputy secretary for women in the Democratic Party.
In the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So you're originally DP.
I'm originally DP.
One of the early defectors.
Yes, and for me, I defected in 1980.
In 1980.
That day, Okello threw us out of the DP house.
Yes.
I watched how we behaved, how we reacted, and I'm like, no, wrong party.
Then you joined the movement?
No. Then I became neutral.
You became neutral?
Yeah, because from 1980 to 86 to 85, we had UPC. Okay. And I didn't want to, I was not UPC, so I decided to start mobilizing the women. Okay. That is how I became the chairperson for all the non-government organizations for women. Okay. Yeah.
So chairman of all non-government organizations for women, yes. And then partly whether involved in the Bush struggle or sympathizing with the Bush fighters, I don't know which one of the two you'll go to, then an agriculturalist as far as your academia is concerned, yes. And all these together, yes. facilitated you to becoming Minister of Agriculture, in your opinion?
I had a job, I had a full-time job.
Where?
I was working with Uganda Development Bank, okay. As an agriculture banking officer. Okay. So after graduating from university, I went straight to the bank. Okay.
And when did you graduate?
1973.
1973. That's very interesting.
Until 86,
okay.
I was in the bank. Okay. So I knew Uganda for agriculturally, financially, very well. Okay. So I'm sure all that sort of made the sum total of Victoria, who became the Deputy Minister of Agriculture.
All right, now let's stay on this subject of agriculture for some time. In preparation for this, I got to discover many, even from conversations I had with senior officers at the National Crop Resources Research Institute at Namulonge, that your name comes up as one of the people involved in the laying the ground for the plan for modernization of agriculture and also for NADS. Are these people giving a true record of history?
To a certain extent, yes, in that I laid the foundation for the plan for modernization, but I was not part of NADS. Okay. Actually, when NADS was suggested, that was the end of 94, beginning of 95 when I left, yes. I was dead against it. Basically because it was...
Why?
Basically because it was going to do away with agriculture extension workers.
Okay.
And being an agriculturist and having been a banker and known how much people who borrow money depend on these agriculture extensionists. And knowing that agriculture is really a science, and science keeps changing. What you learned when you were young has now changed. Sure. We as farmers need somebody who is perpetually being rejuvenated in terms of information to interact with us so that we are up to date.
So your fears that NADS will do away with agriculture extension workers, has that come to pass?
Unfortunately, yes.
And as an agriculturalist and as an academic at that, you're saying that this is unfortunate.
This is very unfortunate because what has happened now is that everybody has all of a sudden become an expert, and I feel so sorry for Ugandans. You hear them, this person announcing, tomorrow I shall have this course, I'll be teaching you ABCD. And sometimes when you listen to what they are teaching, it's not very wrong, but some of it is archaic, but some of it is half-cooked. But most importantly, there is no fallback position. If, for example, you were to get a disease which they don't know, they just leave you in the lurch. That is exactly what happened to me.
So you're telling us, those of us who are a little bit interested in farming, that we should be careful with the experts, the so-called experts who are now all over the place.
Exactly.
Oh, thankfully that now we have somebody who has been a Deputy Minister of Agriculture and full Minister of Agriculture warning the farmers over there. Let's move a little bit now to fast forward. I also know that you were part of the NRC. Yeah. Now, for some of you who are a lot younger, when we talk NRC, you may not actually have no clue what we are talking about. But we're talking about the equivalent of Parliament before, I think, in the early years of the movement.
Yes, yes. Now,
talk me through, what was the NRC as far as its ideals were concerned? I mean, back then, I was a young man, not that I've grown very old myself, but I remember that when they spoke about a member of the National Resistance Council, what you always saw was the distinction of the individual. Exactly. The title honorable then, I think, carried a weight that it no longer carries. Is that true?
Looking at what is going on now in the country and looking back, the two houses, the NRC and the current parliament, are culturally miles apart. For example, when I was Deputy Minister, I was really young, and we had people like the late Balakichiria and quite a number of people. We treated them with a lot of respect.
The Abu Mayanja.
Exactly.
Yes.
Even if you had Mayanja and Kanji, even if you wanted to disagree with Mayanja and Kanji, you couldn't just jump at him. In fact, if you did, he would actually sit you down and tell you, my daughter, this is how we do this. And really, I think it is because of associating with such people at an early age that I turned out the way I did. Yeah. Which makes me feel sorry for these young MPs, and I'm not afraid to say it. If what we are seeing is how they are behaving, 10, 20 years from now, those would be the senior statespeople of this country. Where shall we be?
Now, Lady Victoria, I know this is going to be a very sensitive subject, but now that you are a mother yourself and a distinguished lady who has traveled worldwide, is it such a good thing to bring a 19-year-old to Parliament as an MP, or is it detrimental to her career going forward? I mean, as somebody with experience. Maybe let me ask another way. Would you have seen yourself sitting in the NRC with a 19-year-old girl?
Maybe I'll answer that differently.
Yeah.
Just before retiring from the UN, I was working in China.
Yes.
And the one thing I took away from China is that there is no way such a thing can happen. Because first of all, in China, you join the biggest party there is the Communist Party.
Yes.
By the way, China is multi-party. Even if people don't know and they don't want to believe, but China is multi-party. The biggest party there is Communist Party. But you join the Communist Party, honestly, from nursery school.
Okay.
When you go to a primary school, there will be a chairperson of the Communist Party in primary school, senior secondary school, and so on and so forth. And it is no secret. There is a document which they gave us telling us how they get their ministers and their permanent secretaries and so on and so forth. The party in government is communist, so you have to be communist. Yes. So if they come, for example, here at Urban, they would ask you who is your chairperson of the Communist Party. For Urban TV. For Urban TV. Yes. So that person, if and when companies in China are meeting, would go and represent you at the Communist Party and come back and tell you what happened and tell you what you are doing right, what the Communist Party would want you to change. But back to the question, people. Yes. If you have been brought up and nurtured through the system, anyway, there's no way you can make it at the age of 19 into the parliament of China. No way. Yeah, because first of all, wherever you are born, the first thing you have to do is actually test other parts of the country. For example, if you are 19 years and you want to become a member of parliament, you'd first go, if you're from Katakwi, maybe they would first take you to Kabale. Yes. You work there maybe as assistant RDC. Yes. Or agriculture officer. Yes. In fact, they normally give you a menial job at the bottom so that they can see how you behave and see that you know that China is just one China. Mentoring. We're talking mentoring. Exactly. Yes. So there is just no way such a thing can work. And unfortunately, for these young MPs, yes, once you get there and then you get down, they should, whenever they have a chance, they should talk to any minister who was dropped when they still wanted to be ministers. I'm really lucky. I always thank the good Lord above that I didn't go through that. Yes. Apparently, it is a very hallucinating. You practically run mad for a month or so when they drop you from minister to nothing. So these young people are now honorable. But a few years down the line, they will be just... Honorable, that is satire there. So you're saying that Honorable Nantaba should be talking to you? Should be talking to Matembe. Matembe loves to share her experience of when she was dropped from minister one day to nobody the following day. Okay. They should talk to her so that they know what it is. You were part of the NRC and now you see Parliament and the way it is moving. Yeah. What breaks your heart the most about the way Parliament is conducting its business of late? I think what breaks not that my heart breaks, but I think what I would have loved to see is maybe if Parliament and the whole government could share their priorities with the country. Because here we are, for example, right now, everybody is crying that because it has not rained, some people are already starving, that we are going to harvest 25% less than what we normally harvest. Sure. We still have bills like the biotechnology bill pending. We still have bills like the crop varieties bill pending. We do not have a nutrition policy in place. Now, to me, our education is in shambles and somebody has to have another look at it. Our health is where it is. Really wasting time going into the porn bill and the pornography bill and homosexuality bill. Really, before we start undressing Ugandans, can we first educate them? Can we first give them good health? And can we first feed them? Now you have it, that before we start undressing Ugandans, we must educate them and feed them. But when we come back, the Honorable will tell me just before she leaves this set what she misses more about being called honorable and being driven around with police escorts after this break.